Good morning, America. This is Giles, the Independent, with Independent News. Let's have a talk. I got a question for you guys. Why are you guys giving Donald Trump and his goon squad the power to do what they are doing to our country? That's right. You're giving him the power to do whatever he wants to this country. Even though you see, it's right in front of your nose, what Donald Trump is doing to this country. Donald Trump's in it for one thing: to enrich his family.
This is the richest country on earth. So why are ordinary people struggling just to survive? The leaders keep getting richer. The streets keep getting colder. And tonight, the world is watching America ask one painful question. Why are the citizens suffering while the powerful keep rising?
Still fade in the land where promises were made. Why the poor keep losing hope? Why the rich still rule the road? Stars and stripes under pouring rain.
Yeah.
People smiling while they hide the pain.
If this dream
was built for all,
why
do so many still fall?
They show the world a dream called freedom. Now everyday people barely see one. Working all week just to stay alive. Still can't breathe when the bills arrive. Politicians talking from expensive stages, while workers trapped inside low wages. Big corporations running the game. Different presidents still the same. Wall Street rising, Main Street dead. Millions stressed with pressure in their heads. Families choosing food or medicine. That's the reality people living in. Healthcare turned into business deals. Pain got a price tag nobody can heal. One sickness can destroy your life. One bad month can erase your fight. Meanwhile, billionaires flying private jets. Congress members placing hidden bets. Luxury dinners behind closed gates, while homeless veterans sleep in the rain. The cameras say the country doing fine, but ordinary people know that's a lie. They see the struggle every single day. Hope getting harder to hold in place. Factories closed in forgotten towns. Dreams disappeared when the job shut down. Now addiction spreading through broken homes, and loneliness growing inside the phones. They spend trillions funding overseas wars, but can't fix hunger right outside their doors. That contradiction got the whole world shocked. A superpower emotionally blocked. This ain't about hatred, this about truth. People exhausted from being used, because when leaders profit from division and fear, the citizens pay every single year.
Tell me why the lights still fade in the land where promises were made. Why the poor keep losing hope? Why the rich still rule the road? Stars and stripes under pouring rain. People smiling while they hide the pain.
If this dream
was built for all, why do so many still fall?
America, the people still believe in you. That's why the disappointment hurts so deep. Young people drowning inside student debt. Scared of futures they haven't reached yet. Housing prices rising every year, turning basic, living in the fear. One paycheck missing can ruin a life. That pressure cutting deep like knives. Parents overworked and mentally drained, still pretending everything okay. Social media full of fake success. Meanwhile, anxiety living in every chest. People isolated in crowded rooms, trying to survive emotional doom. The government talks about strength and pride, but citizens breaking down inside. Trust collapsing more every year, because the people no longer feel heard. Campaign money flooding politics fast. Corporate power holding the mass. Citizens vote but still feel ignored, like democracy became corporate war. And every election turns into rage. Another performance on the national stage. News channels screaming left and right, while ordinary people lose the fight. The rich get richer through every crisis. Ordinary workers make the sacrifices. Inflation rising, wages slow, and still the politicians act like nobody knows. But the whole world watching carefully now, as pressure keeps building inside the crowd. Because no empire stays powerful long when the people feel abandoned at home. This song ain't celebrating pain or collapse. It's exposing the distance between citizens and cash.
A reminder that no nation survives when greed becomes stronger than human lives. Tell me why the lights still fade. Tell me why the lights still fade in the land where promises were made. Why the poor keep losing hope? Why the poor keep losing? While the rich still rule the road. Stars and stripes under pouring rain.
People smiling.
People smiling while they hide the pain. If this dream was built for all, why do so many still fall? Can you hear the crying in the streets tonight?
Can you feel the pressure people hide inside?
Dreams are getting harder just to hold.
Hearts are turning tired and cold.
No country can stay strong when its people stop believing in tomorrow.
Maybe the real crisis was never outside America. Maybe it was greed without limits, power without accountability, leadership disconnected from ordinary lives. Because people are not asking for perfection. They just want dignity, a future, a reason to believe again. And until that happens, the question: tell me why the lights still fade in the land where promises were made. Why the poor keep losing hope? Why the rich still? City lights. City lights flicker through the pouring rain.
Everybody's smiling while they drowning in pain.
Gold chains shining while the streets stay cold. Land they promised us before.
Oh, why the rich keep winning, why the poor lose more?
Its new favorite crime scene, and this time it is not a courthouse bathroom full of classified documents, a fake elector scheme scribbled together like a coup attempt on a napkin, or one of Donald Trump's gold-plated confession booths where democracy goes to be sold by the pound. This time, the crime scene is the congressional map. It is the quiet little diagram most Americans are told is too boring to care about, which is exactly why Republicans love it. Because while everyone is watching Trump foam at the mouth on social media like a busted leaf blower full of grievance, MAGA lawmakers are in state capitals slicing up black voting power with the confidence of people who know the Supreme Court just handed them a permission slip. That is what this is. It is not a debate over lines. It is not some academic argument about district compactness, contiguity, or whatever other sleepy legal word Republicans use when they want to make voter suppression sound like a zoning meeting. This is a power grab. This is a political burglary in broad daylight, a fair national argument, deciding that maybe fair arguments are overrated. So instead of earning votes, they are rearranging voters. Instead of changing their agenda, they are changing the map. Instead of asking black communities what representation they deserve, they are telling those communities to shut up and enjoy being divided like leftovers in a fridge. Tennessee is the warning flare. Republicans there looked at the state's only majority black congressional district and treated it like a suspicious package. They did not see citizens, they saw a problem. They did not see Memphis as a city with history, voice, culture, pain, memory, and political power. They saw a Democratic seat that offended their little red state fantasy. So they moved to break it apart, dilute it, and stuff pieces of it into surrounding districts until the people of Memphis could still vote, technically, but without the same ability to elect someone who actually represents them. That is the modern Republican definition of democracy. You may speak as long as we control the microphone, the room, the camera, and the exit. And then came the most insulting performance of all, the fake ignorance. Republican lawmakers were asked whether they knew Memphis was predominantly African American, whether they knew Shelby County had a large black population, whether they knew the 9th Congressional District was the state's only majority black district. And suddenly, these people became contestants on America's Dumbest Witness. They did not know, they were not aware, they had no knowledge. These are lawmakers who can identify one Democratic apartment complex from space, people who can draw a district line around a cul-de-sac like a surgeon removing a tumor. And now they expect us to believe they accidentally wandered into the racial politics of Memphis like tourists looking for barbecue. Please, that is not ignorance. That is perjury wearing a flag pin. They know exactly what they are doing. They know because redistricting is data, it is numbers, it is race, it is party, it is turnout, it is census blocks, it is precinct history. It is every little political detail fed into a machine until the machine spits out a map that protects Republicans from accountability. The same people claiming they do not know the racial makeup of Memphis know how many Democrats live behind a Kroger parking lot. They know where black voters live. They know how those voters have organized. They know what happens when a majority black district is cracked into pieces. They know the result. That is why they are doing it. This is MAGA's new race-neutral racism. They do not have to say, we want to weaken black voters. They just have to say, we want Republicans to maintain control. Then, by sheer coincidence, the black district disappears. Amazing. What a mystery. A political Loch Ness monster. They are not targeting race, they say. They are targeting Democrats. But in places where black voters have built Democratic power because one party at least sometimes acknowledges their rights and the other party keeps trying to erase them with maps, that excuse is not a defense. It is an admission with better shoes. It is like robbing a man and saying, I did not target him because of who he is. I targeted him because he had a wallet. Congratulations, you have explained the robbery. And while this was happening, according to the transcript, some MAGA lawmakers were running around in Trump capes. Trump capes during a fight over black representation. That image should be printed in every civics textbook under the chapter title, How Republics Lose Their Minds. These are adults, theoretically. These are elected officials, allegedly. And they are playing dress up for the most corrupt, insecure, democracy-hating president in modern American history while dismantling voting power in a state with one of the most important civil rights legacies in the country. Donald Trump is not a superhero. He is not saving democracy. He is the reason democracy has to sleep with one eye open. Wearing a Trump cape during a voting rights assault is like wearing a Dracula costume to donate blood and acting surprised when people get nervous. The whole thing is grotesque, but it is also revealing. MAGA politics is not really governance anymore. It is a costume party for resentment. The cape, the slogans, the fake patriotism, the Make America Great Again chant, the performative outrage, the endless victim act, all of it exists to distract from the same ugly project. Power for them, silence for everyone else. And then Justin Pearson stood up and said what the room did not want to hear. He spoke about white supremacy. He spoke about the Voting Rights Act being paid for in blood. He spoke about the long line from slavery to disenfranchisement to lynching to mass incarceration to the modern effort to crack black political power into pieces. That kind of speech terrifies MAGA because it refuses to let them hide inside procedure. It drags the map back into history. It says, no, this is not just ink on paper. This is part of a long American pattern where black citizenship is recognized only when it is powerless, tolerated only when it is quiet, and attacked the moment it becomes effective. That is the part Republicans cannot stand. They want civil rights history frozen in amber. They want Dr. King on a holiday poster, not in a legislative argument. They want Selma as a museum exhibit, not as a warning. They want the Voting Rights Act treated like some sentimental artifact from a better time, not as a living protection against the very behavior they are now rushing to commit. But the whole point of the Voting Rights Act was that states could not be trusted to simply behave themselves after centuries of creative racial suppression. And now, the moment the guardrails weaken, MAGA states are swerving straight into the ditch and calling it freedom. Look at the pattern. Tennessee moves, Louisiana becomes the model. Alabama, Florida, and other Republican-controlled states see opportunity. Virginia becomes the flip side, where voters approve a redistricting reform that could help Democrats, and a right-wing court steps in to kill it. That is the game. When Republicans draw maps behind closed doors, that is state authority. When voters approve a process Republicans dislike, suddenly the judges become delicate little constitutional gardeners, protecting democracy from the dangerous people who voted. It is a scam so obvious it should come with a customer service number. Republicans say they love the will of the people, but only when the people are conveniently Republican. If the people vote for Trump, it is sacred. If the people reject Trump, it is fraud. If a Republican legislature gerrymanders, it is constitutional. If voters approve a Democratic-friendly reform, it is invalid. If black voters organize, it is suspicious. If MAGA lawmakers erase their district, it is just politics. This is not principle. This is a casino where the House changes the rules every time democracy hits blackjack, and Trump is cheering because, of course, he is. The man has never seen a Democratic norm. He did not want to shove down an escalator. He tried to overturn an election and then spent years calling himself the victim, which is like an arsonist demanding sympathy because the smoke alarm hurt his ears. Trump does not believe in voting rights. He believes in votes that help him. He does not believe in courts. He believes in rulings that flatter him. He does not believe in representation. He believes in domination wrapped in red, white, and blue bunting. That is why this moment is so dangerous. The MAGA movement has merged Trump's authoritarian instinct with the Republican Party's old obsession with minority rule. Trump provides the noise, the rage, the lies, the cult energy. State Republicans provide the maps. Judges provide the blessing. Fox News provides the anesthesia. And by the time ordinary people realize what happened, the election has already been pre-cooked like a sad buffet chicken under a heat lamp. The Republican Party knows its agenda is unpopular. That is the secret underneath all this map rigging. If they really believed the country wanted what they were selling, they would not need to chop up districts like a ransom note. They would run on their record. But what is the record? Tax cuts for billionaires, book bans, attacks on teachers, abortion bans, healthcare sabotage, climate denial, endless culture war tantrums, loyalty oaths to Donald Trump, a foreign policy that treats dictators like mentors and allies like overdue invoices. That is not a governing vision. That is a garage sale of national decline. So they do not persuade, they distort, they take a black district and crack it. They take a Democratic city and split it. They take voters who have power together and scatter them apart. Then they call the result fair because the law, after being bent into a pretzel by right-wing judges, lets them say the magic words. We did not consider race. Right. And Trump did not consider money when he launched a business. The whole country is supposed to pretend not to see what is plainly in front of us because MAGA has discovered that denial, if repeated loudly enough, can function like policy. But people do see it. That is why protesters showed up. That is why lawmakers spoke out. That is why the reaction in Tennessee was not quiet acceptance. People understand what it means when a community's voting power is weakened. They understand what it means when the only majority black district is carved up. They understand what it means when elected officials hide behind procedure while citizens are removed, shouted down, or arrested for objecting. It means power is protecting itself. It means the map makers fear the voters. It means democracy is not failing by accident. It is being attacked by design. And let us drop the childish both sides nonsense right now. Both sides are not doing this in the same way. Both sides are not wearing Trump capes while erasing black political power. Both sides are not pretending they do not know Memphis is black. Both sides are not celebrating when courts cancel voter-approved reforms, but applauding when Republican legislatures ram through maps without meaningful public consent. This is not a symmetrical problem. This is a Republican project. It has a name, an address, a strategy, and a leader who posts about it like a man celebrating a coupon for authoritarianism. The stakes are not abstract. Congressional control can turn on a handful of seats. A handful of seats can decide whether voting rights legislation gets buried, whether investigations happen, whether courts are reformed, whether corruption is exposed, whether Trump is checked or crowned. That is why the map matters. It is not a boring diagram. It is the battlefield before the battlefield. It is the election before the election. It is where Republicans try to win before voters even get to vote. That is why the response cannot be sleepy. It cannot be someone should do something. It has to be lawsuits, organizing, voter education, turnout, state legislative races, judicial races, ballot initiatives, local pressure, national pressure, and constant exposure. Every voter needs to understand that state capitals are not side stages. They are where democracy can be quietly strangled while cable news chases the latest Trump hallucination. Every race matters because MAGA treats every office like a weapon.
I found a free print-on-demand Shopify.
Commissions, secretaries of state, state Supreme Courts, legislatures, all of it matters. They know that. That is why they fight so hard for rooms most people ignore. And Democrats need to stop acting shocked every time Republicans behave like Republicans. This is who they are. They are telling us in open daylight. They are not embarrassed. They are not conflicted. They are not having a long internal moral debate. They are moving fast because they believe power rewards speed and punishes decency. So decency has to get faster. Democracy has to get tougher. The defense of voting rights cannot sound like a polite seminar while MAGA is outside with a chainsaw. The message has to be clear. You do not get to erase black voters and call it reform. You do not get to rig maps and call it democracy. You do not get to invoke the Constitution while vandalizing its promises. You do not get to turn Memphis into political confetti and then act offended when people call it racist. And you definitely do not get to hide behind Donald Trump, a man whose idea of public service is asking what the country can do for his legal bills. The most important truth is this: MAGA Republicans are doing this because they are scared. They are scared of black voters, scared of cities, scared of young people, scared of multiracial democracy, scared of the future. Scared that the America they keep trying to drag backward has already moved on without asking their permission. They are not drawing these maps from strength. They are drawing them from panic. A confident party persuades voters. A frightened party cages them. So when you see Tennessee cracking Memphis, when you see right-wing courts blocking voter-approved reforms, when you see Trump celebrating the destruction of fair representation, do not treat it like a normal political dispute. Treat it like what it is, a warning siren. The map is the message. The message is that MAGA cannot win fair, so MAGA will try to win fixed. And the answer has to be just as blunt. We see the scam, we know the history, and we are not going to let democracy be carved up by cowards in capes.
I don't care.
I really look.
What are you doing?
She's coming with us.
What are you talking about? Who are you?
I'm your Republican congressman. Now that we're in charge, we're rounding up illegals.
She was born here. She's a citizen.
I don't care. She looks like one of them. But don't worry. When she's in prison in El Salvador, she'll have lots of company.
Agree with this?
He's flatlining.
We need to get him into surgery.
Sorry, you can't do that.
What are you talking about? Who are you?
I'm your Republican congressman. Now that we're in charge, we defunded Medicare, and we're not paying for this surgery.
This man is dying. Now get out of the hospital.
I won the last election.